position for them to succeed. But it's also the player's responsibility to understand what the coach is asking of you. I think these guys are both in very different places at this juncture of their career. Ty Lue was a very young assistant coach in Boston. Rondo was a very young player on a championship caliber team, but they were very young. They're vastly different player-coach dynamic now than what they were then. But it's also Rondo's responsibility to understand what you might have given the Lakers might not be what's required of you at the Clippers. And it's your job to understand that, but it's also Ty Lue under job, okay, you get there. And that's why I always think it's hard, Skip, going to somewhere during the middle of the season, as opposed to being in training camp and you go through all you play some of these preseason games where you have an understanding just exactly what your role is. Yep. When you go in the middle of the season, Skip, you got to hit the ground running. You're thinking one thing and it's something entirely different. But we saw this. A guy named Playoff Rondo had 3 DMPs in the playoffs. He had 3.
5.
He had three inactive in the play. A guy named Playoff Rondo in the playoffs isn't playing.
No, he fell completely out of favor.
Completely out of the rotation. And the writing was on the wall. It was just a matter of time. Maybe he and the players, they just butt heads. It didn't go as well as expected for him in Atlanta. It didn't go as well as expected for him at the Clippers, and he's back home. So, Skip, I just think the thing...
Back home in the same building.
Back in the side over there. Hey, Jeffrey, we upstairs now.
Yep.
He ain't got to go down there to the moldy, crusty basement, because that's where y'all are. That's where y'all...
mold down there?
Yep.
That's dangerous, that mold.
Well, y'all don't play dangerous on the court. Y'all don't do anything. Y'all don't want anything.
Maybe it's the mold's fault. I don't know.
Skip, but I just think the thing is, look, there's enough blame to go around. Rondo didn't play well. I don't think he played well enough to get any more minutes than what he got. And Ty Lue maybe didn't put him in the best situation. So I'm not going to lay all the blame at Ty Lue's feet and let Rondo off the hook. Now, I can't let him off the hook either. I think there's enough blame to go around. But I can assure you this, nobody is happy with the other.
That is a fact. And I'm not happy with what playoff Rondo did not do for my Clippers.
Yeah, you hyped him up.
I thought he was a godsend. I thought he was the missing final piece to the championship puzzle. And I think they did too. And they tried early on to say, here.
Right.
They didn't throw him into the starting lineup, but they were trying to ease him toward it.
Right.
And it did not happen. He had 2 flashes that caught my eye. 2 games. There was a loss to the Nuggets by 6, in which he went 18 points, 5 and 5. But he was a -9 in the game, and it wasn't clicking.
Right.
It wasn't taken off the way he became. He especially in the bubble, he became a closer for the Lakers. Seriously, a closer. So there was another game against Phoenix at home in which he went 15, 3, and 9, and he was a plus 24, and it was pretty impressive, and I thought, okay, here we go.
You thought you'd go see that guy more.
Yeah, did I? And yet he started only 1 game in the regular season, and you know which game that was? That was the dubious game at Houston when they got blown out, and Rondo played pretty well in that game. He had 13 assists in that game. He was a
Is that the game they lost by 50?
Yeah, well, they didn't lose by 50. I forget what the score was.
Didn't somebody beat them by 50?
It was a 7-point loss.
Grizzlies beat them.
But the point was, that's when people started suspecting that they were tanking to avoid the team upstairs.
Yeah, they didn't want to see us.
That was ridiculous.
They didn't want to see us.
That's false.
They didn't want to see us.
That's all they wanted to do. In fact, that night, they started the immortal Jerry Scrub at point guard with Rondo, so nobody played. Paul George didn't play. Kawhi didn't play. No, Marcus Morris didn't play in that game in Houston. Okay, so that was his lone start. And then we get to the playoffs, and you know what happened. We get to Game 5, first round against Dallas after they had remarkably, astonishingly won Games 3 and 4 at Dallas down 0-2, won the big Friday night game with Dak in the front row, and you know how that went. And it was Kawhi and Paul George, and we got to Game 5, and they blow it. It's 2-all, and they blow it. And down the stretch, it was time for Rondo to play quarterback to set them up for the final shot and get a decent look. And Kawhi got stuck in the corner, guarded, desperation 3, air ball, and you know the rest of the story. They got after each other on the floor after the game, as we see right here. There he is. He just didn't like what he got stuck with, and I think he started it by saying something to Rondo, and Rondo really came back, and it seemed like that was, if not the end, the beginning of the end.
But Skip, if you think about it, if you look at the rest of those guys, that play had to be run for Kawhi because nobody else moved. You talked about LeBron. Remember when Rondo said he locked eyes with LeBron? If you look at this play, nobody else is moving. The only guy that cuts towards the basketball is Kawhi. So it seems like that was the play that was
obviously, Kawhi didn't think the play got run as it was supposed to be run.
Right.
That's all I know.
Right.
Because he was not happy.
Right.
And you can't show up the superstar as you're walking off the court in plain sight of the TV camera.
That's the biggest thing, Skip, is that when you go to a different locker room, how you were in one locker room, you got to gauge, you got to check the temperature of the room, the locker room that you're going into. The one thing that I did when I went to Baltimore is that I just sat back. I wasn't my typical self that I would be like when I was in Denver.
Yep.
And then once I saw, like, man, they mofos just like the guys I left. I can be me.
Okay, but you want to talk about some huge personalities in that locker room? There were 4 or 5 that equaled yours,
yes.
right?
So you have to understand that, Skip. The way I talked to Ed and Rod, that wasn't the way I talked in Denver.
Yes.
That wasn't the way I talked to Kadri and Jermaine Lewis and Patrick Johnson. It was a different, I was like, Q, okay, bro, it's time to make a play. He's like, oh, okay, I got you. And boom, just like that, I was like, Jermaine, I'm going to bust it. You're going to be wide open. I need you to make a play for me.
Yep.
You talk to him like that to give the guys confidence. I couldn't say some of the things that I would say back in Denver because it was a different situation. But you have to understand that. And I don't know, Rondo's like, well, this is how I am, take it or leave it. No, you can't do that. Because if you say take it or leave it, they're going to say we're going to leave it.
Okay, so bottom line, I thought Ty Lue was the perfect coach for Rondo because they knew each other. They kind of grew up in the league together.
Right.
And I thought one would listen to the other, who would listen to the other, and somehow it didn't click because it did look like, to my eye test, that Rondo's skills were declining right before your very eyes at age 35. I didn't see the quickness. I didn't see the shot making that I saw for the Lakers. Now, maybe it's because he just felt more comfortable in that fit. I don't know. But to me, you can't blame Ty Lue because I think he was moving toward, I want this guy to be the guy in the playoffs, and he couldn't take the reins that they tried to hand him.
Well, it's hard, Skip, when you get Reggie Jackson stepping up playing like he played, and then Terrence Mann takes his game to a whole level. So now, Skip, we're getting contributions that we didn't anticipate because Reggie Jackson didn't play like he in the playoffs. Reggie Jackson didn't play like that during the season. No, Terrence Mann damn sure didn't play like he played in the playoffs.
Nope.
So now we got 2 situations we didn't anticipate having.
And all of a sudden, Rondo becomes an afterthought.
Right. So he's not getting the minutes that he thought.
Nope.
So it's hard, Skip. You start to press when you get in there. You're not getting the minutes. I'm going to show you why you need to give me more minutes. And you start attempting things, turnovers. You take bad shots. Now, Rondo going to take a bad shot here or there, Skip. He's going to airball a 3. He's going to go try to drive down. Do the up and down on the backside of the backside of the board. That's going to happen, Skip. But you got to be willing to live with that. Well, when the 2 guys are playing well and you attempted those shots, well, you know what? I was planning on giving you 15 minutes tonight, but I'm going to have to cut that down to 10 because you want some bull jive.
So he fired 2 shots at the team downstairs yesterday.
What did he say about it?
One was at Ty Lue, and the other was, he said, we did not get our victory parade after the bubble championship, obviously in the middle of the pandemic. He said, so I'm back so that we can get our parade this year that we deserved 2 years ago. That's what he said.
I didn't hear him say that.
And that's another shot fired at the team in the basement that's going to come back up out of the basement once Kawhi is healthy sometime around March.
If you don't mind me asking, Skip, let's just say for the sake of argument, hypothetically, some pie in the sky, somewhere in a land far, far away, more like Pluto. If you guys were to win a parade, where's it going to go? It ain't going to go downtown by Staples Center.
Why not?
Y'all going to take that out to Playa Vista. Take that out to Playa. Yeah, you got to take that out to Playa.
I love Playa Vista.
Well, that's where you
go there.
That's where your praise glowing, right down Jefferson.
No, you know what? We're going to shut down the 405 and just take it over. Yeah, we're going to parade up and down the 405 by Inglewood. That's where we're going to be.
Laker Nation ain't going to let that happen. Laker Nation we'll never let that happen.
We will have a parade.
You notice how I said that?
You have a parade.
Never.
Yes.
We already had one. We just didn't get an opportunity to do it. You know what we did, Skip. We got a championship. We got number 17.
I saw that.
Y'all haven't even won 17 division titles.
Yeah.
We got 17 championships.
We took our first step and got to our first ever conference finals. And now, as Kawhi gets his knee right,
You know
he'll be
Kawhi
back
ain't playing
by
this year.
March. He's
So
going to
you-
play.
so you get
He's
ready
gonna
for
play.
2022?
Nope, I'm ready for this
2023.
Love it. Love it. The window is still open for this Clippers group.
It's still open, Skip, but you know back in the old days, you used to put a stick in the window because the window would fall down because we have no locks on it like they
Been
got
there.
today.
Yep.
We put that wood